All right, well, let's go to this next guy on this list. Not maybe as highly coveted, but he had a great season last year, and that's Corey Davis. So this guy, his best season of his career, and the Titans have not re-signed him yet, and he could resign with somebody else. They might resign him. I'll go ahead and start this one. I think at the end of the day, he's back with the Titans because you have your superstar in AJ Brown, but you can't just do it with one guy. I mean, you got to have some supporting cast around him to pick up the slack when he's injured or when he's being guarded heavily. So I think at the end of the day, he's back with the Titans. I'll go to you first, Justin. Where do you see Corey Davis possibly ending up?
To keep it fantasy relevant, I think that he's a perfect name and perfect style to go to the Packers because we hear nonstop they need another wide receiver. Yeah. Lazard is tight. We like Lazard, but his health, and he's just not that guy. What's that? MSV?
Dang, that's a good one, Justin.
He's just who he is. And we saw
MBS. Yeah.
We finally saw Corey Davis become who we thought he was, but he's not going to get top dollar like some of these other names are. I think he'd be a perfect number 2 to just say, hey, if you want to abuse the pass game and try to stop Devontae, I'm going to blow up on the other side against you. And that's just like a big body, a perfect name. And he's also that streaky guy who can catch a long ball too. So ideally, I want to see him go there. But I think realistically, a re-sign and running it back might be good because they have a nice tandem over there too.
Yeah, for sure. I would love that. I mean, for years, man, we're always like, who's the number 2 in Green Bay? And even when it was Jordy Nelson, like Jordy Nelson left, Devontae Adams came up. They weren't never like great together, you know? Mm-hmm. So there's never been like a prominent number 2 there. Just guys.
Jacob for a year. So
yeah. That's true. Jordy Nelson and Randall Cobb were really good.
But that was years ago.
Yeah. I think since then we'll be like, who's going to be the Randall Cobb to his Jordy Nelson?
Yeah.
So that would be great. How about you, Gabe? Do you have any other scenario for Corey Davis?
Yeah, I'm just kind of throwing this one out there. I'd like to see him go to the Baltimore Ravens. I know it's not the sexiest pick. I mean, you got a running quarterback.
They need another wide receiver, though.
Yeah, the only other thing that I can think of is exactly that. They need another wide receiver. Marquise Brown, he wasn't exactly great last year, but he came on strong towards the end of the season, and he's developing, of course. And I know that we all know that the Ravens really like to run, and Corey Davis, he said in multiple tweets that he loves to run block. So I don't know. That was just kind of like a speculative pick for me. And again, according to Scott Thompson, his market value is right around 9 to 10 million is what he's going to expect on the market.
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned earlier, Gabe, that the Patriots are probably going to go cheaper route. And listen, I said Kenny Golladay is probably going to re-sign with the Lions. At the end of the day, they're going to franchise him. So I think the Patriots are going to miss on Kenny Golladay. And I see Corey Davis as a kind of ideal, like you said, cheaper name that can instantly become their number 1. I don't see him going back to the Titans whatsoever. Listen, the Titans have AJ Brown. He is the number 1 guy. Okay. And then they have Humphreys, who they brought in as their number 3 guy. And I think they're going to go and draft somebody to be their number 2 guy because teams like that, they're pricey. They're expensive. They need to re-sign guys on the defense. They have an expensive running back. You can't afford everybody, you know? So Corey Davis is awesome. And yeah, he blew up and it's a feel-good story that we've been waiting for him to do it for 4 or 5 years. And he finally did it. But I don't see him going back there. I think the realistic situations are either the Patriots, or I could also see him going to the Jaguars to go play with their new rookie quarterback, Trevor Lawrence, because the Jaguars don't really have a number 1 either. They're sitting there. They have a couple of number 2s, number 3s, no real number 1. If you believe
DJ Chark should be their number 1.
Yeah, but is he a true number 1? I like him.
I mean, dude,
I think he's a 1A, 1B.
Yeah, I mean, I'm saying he should be, but he hasn't had consistent quarterback play.
Justin said it. Yeah, quarterback issue.
Well, listen, if you have Shark, you have Corey Davis, and you have Laviska, that's your 1, 2, 3. Put them however you want them, but look at what the Bengals did with Joe Burrow, right? They had Boyd, they had AJ Green. They still went out and got Higgins. you have a young quarterback like that, you need to give him multiple options so that he has options on the field. You can't just rely on Shark, who's missed some games with injuries. You can't rely on Laviska, who's missed some games with injuries and was pretty inconsistent his first year. But you have all three of them, you're looking in a better spot. So I see Jaguars and Patriots as the potential landing spots with the Jets if they miss out on some bigger name fish.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I you know, you kind of changed my mind on whether he'd go back there or not, because you're right. They do, and look, they're gonna pay AJ Brown when the day comes, and they need to make sure they're able to. So, that's a fair point. But I do think. I mean, I still think there's a possibility. I mean, if he takes, I mean, I don't know what his market value is going to be. Like, is he going to be heavily sought after, or does he just want to stay there? So we'll see what ends up happening.